Then when I grow up, coach, what are you gonna be when you grow up? Hello! Who's here? If you want to use the chat at the bottom of the screen to say like, I'm here, I'm this person from this place, that would be so great. Love to see you. I know Linda's here. Hi Linda from my clubhouse and Arwen. If anyone's having any problems, everyone could hear us. Could someone just type in the text that they could hear us? Because that would give me, that would have me some peace and make me a lot less nervous. Hello. Anyone? Bueller? Arwen? Someone tell us. Hey! We can hear you and see you! That's really, those are good things. This is already going well. And hi, Laura! This is so exciting. Okay, I wanted to say at the top of the show and the technical stuff, if you're having problems with hearing us or seeing us or anything else, make sure you're not on Firefox. This is really dumb, but I found out that Vokle doesn't work well or at all on Firefox, which is weird.
Just a little bug.
Really weird. So get off of Firefox. If there are any other problems that you're having, you'll see in the text chat. Oh, good. Oh, hi, Amanda. Amanda says, I'm using Firefox. It's working fine for me. Fantastic. If it ends up not working fine, then feel free to switch to another browser, and you should be all good. You'll see that Arwen Todd has a fancy producer title next to her name, and she's like our behind-the-scenes special lady, technical person. So if you have any sort of problems at all, or any questions or anything, Megan and I aren't going to be keeping such a close eye on the text chat, but just yell out like, Arwen, blah, blah, I need this thing, and then she'll be able to help you. The other thing to know about this, and why I love Vokle so much, is that you could ask questions live, and we'll be able to answer them, and it'll be exciting. So you'll see something, your screen is a little different from mine, you'll see some sort of button that says like, ask a question. If you're really brave and want to ask a video question, it'll just show, it'll just show on my screen, someone wants to ask a video question, and I'll be able to click on it, and you'll come up in video, and we'll be able to talk to you.
No chat stuff, though.
No.
I don't want to see any boobs today.
No boobs.
Sorry, it's too early in the morning.
No penises.
No penises.
But belly buttons are okay.
I'd be comfortable with a belly
button.
button.
That's fine. 11 a.m.? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Shoulders? That's okay.
Oh.
Yeah, right? We're already, we've just been drinking coffee. I swear. So if you want to do that, otherwise, if you just want to ask a question and not go on video, that is wonderful as well. And you could just ask the question and hit submit, and it'll come up in like a different area for us, and then we'll be able to like put the question up on the screen. It's really
in
cool.
The future, you guys.
It's totally 2013. Happy 2013, everybody! Yay! So for those, hi Rebecca, hi Stacy. This is awesome. Okay, so for everyone, let's do an introduction. I'm Michelle Ward. I'm the When I Grow Up coach. This is Megan Collins. She's Style Girlfriend. And this is the very first episode of Grown Up Gigs, which thank God Megan wasn't too scared to be my very first guest on this new chat series we're doing. So kind of the quick spiel behind it is that as a When I Grow Up coach, I feel really strongly that I want creative people to know that they could pretty much do and be whatever they want to be when they grow up, especially in the 21st century. And people are doing amazeballs things. And so the subtitle of Grown Up Gigs is an inside look at dream jobs held by real people. So immediately I was like, thank God I'm connected. So I knew people that I was like, who has a dream job that I know that my creative peeps are going to want to hear about? And so let's talk about it, and let's hear how they did it, and let's make sure they're not living in a cardboard box, and kind of see that it's all possible. Yay! So this is what Grown Up Gigs is. This is what we're going to spend the next hour or so talking to Megan about. And again, feel free to just ask questions at any time, and we'll see them pop up and answer them throughout the chat.
Great.
Yay! So can I put you on the spot and ask you to give a bit more of an intro on you and what you do as Style Girlfriend?
Sure. So I have a men's style site called Style Girlfriend that's all about guy style from a female perspective. So every day there's fresh content up that's talking about, it's answering reader questions, it's putting together sort of outfits of the day. Today's post is all about remixing your wardrobe for like a work pleasure trip to Vegas. So it's things for guys who want to leave the house looking good, but they don't really care about fashion. They like having a female help them with that kind of thing, and whether they don't have a wife or a girlfriend, or they just don't want to ask their opinion, you know, I'm sort of a great resource that it's somewhere where you come and you can feel like I'm going to be giving positive reinforcement, not like negative, like, oh, why do you wear this and that and the other, that's terrible. Which is, I found something that shockingly guys respond to not that well. So they, you know, they want to hear like, oh, wouldn't you look great if you were wearing, you know, a pair of dark denim jeans, whatever it is. So that's what I do.
I could attest to this because I just, Luke, my husband, had a closet audit by a stylist.
Oh my.
And we threw out 5 bags, we donated 5 bags of stuff. And I have been, you know, saying things in a way like, why don't you wear this and do that? Why don't you not wear the backpack to work that I bought at the Timberland outlet in 2002 when you're a 36-year-old man? I love you,
Luke. It's an often discussed topic.
Backpack. But now, I mean, having that not non-judgmental,
sure, the third
person come in. You tuck your shirt in and wear belts, and all of a sudden,
and I'm sure he responded really well to that because you know they were the expert,
right?
And for whatever silly reason, I've become this expert, which is something that we can talk about a little bit more. But it's a term that I've kind of had to work on owning.
Definitely
because you know, it's hard to just say that across the board, to say you're an expert in anything. Although what some people do it willy nilly, but it's something where guys feel like they can trust my opinion, and you know, whereas maybe they're too close to someone in their life that would say the same thing. So,
before we get into that, brag a little bit as to where Style Girlfriend is and what you kind of been approached to do, where you've been featured.
Yeah, 2012 was a really great sort of building year for Style Girlfriend, and I'm really excited about 2013. I was lucky enough to be featured in GQ this past year, back in October, November.
It's amazing.
And it was this really great feature because it was a bit of an editorial, so, you know, me in sort of like menswear inspired clothes, and so that allowed people to see me and feel like they get to know me, but there was also a really great like Q&A, so I was able to give my perspective and kind of say what I've been saying to you about. It's about not necessarily fashion, but it's about personal style, and it's not about being mean, it's about being positive, and, you know, get my personality across a little bit. So I got a ton of new readers out of that, including a manager, actually. So I'm working with this guy out in LA to start looking at taking Style Girlfriend offline. So whether that is something where it becomes like a non-scripted, like, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, but with me,
right,
you know,
right,
or like a Sex and the City kind of thing where it's, you know, New York-based blogger taking on the world, you know, as, you know, something on the CW or something like that. Like, we're kind of exploring both options, which is crazy to talk about. And, you know, back when I was working with you 3 years ago, like, this was not even in my, you know, viewer. So it's amazing to be talking about it now. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, and so, you know, I'm working on taking Style Girlfriend offline, and we're talking about
go to Hollywood, I'm going to meet with development deals.
Yeah, exactly. So
fantastic.
That's sort of on the horizon, and then also just talking about if this could become a book or a series or, you know, something Style Girlfriend guide to whatever it might be. So
what
if coming up.
If you had a genie grant you one wish, what would you want? What would you want that to be?
Thicker hair.
No, your hair is gorgeous.
I spent way too much time on this morning getting camera ready.
It's gorgeous.
Sorry, is that bad? That's my serious
answer.
That
is so serious. That's so funny.
A genie about like a work
about
genie?
A work genie. A work genie saying like, this manager is going to get you exactly what you want. Like, what would that? I'm curious. What would that be? Do you know?
You know, it's really interesting because when he and I first started working together, I was definitely thinking like, no, this is non-scripted, this is about me, and it's taken me so long to be like, I am Style Girlfriend and that's fine, and I'm the face of this brand, because, I mean, I hide behind my computer all day long and I can talk about clothes, but having to put myself out there and say, no, I really know what I'm talking about, and this isn't just my opinion, like, I'm this resource for you, it's been hard. And so finally coming to terms with that, I was like, no, this is me, this is my thing. And then as I started to think about it, the, you know, possibilities for a scripted series are like so amazing. Like there's so much stuff that happens every day where I'm just like, I should be a TV show. Like,
right.
You know, and just things that, you know, you watch the Mindy Project or you watch whatever it is and you're like, oh, I can really relate to that. And I feel like I have sort of a story that people could relate to. And so to be able to actually go back to hiding behind being like, that's not really me, and just to be able to write and be able to tell those stories is something that actually is sounding more and more attractive. So I don't know. I think I would just want the genie to give me the development deal.
Okay, right, perfect. The genie will be happy to do that.
Yes.
Let's back up still. I want to talk more about the expert stuff, but I want to kind of get there. And someone asked, what is this dream job? So I'm talking to Megan Collins of stylegirlfriend.com. So you can check out her website and see who she is and what she does. But writing and being syndicated and being featured on GQ and getting manager and making money from her blog, which does not happen very often, which is amazing. So let's back up. Before you became a Style Girlfriend,
yes,
give our viewers here some background as to where you were and what you did.
Absolutely, and I think that that's also so important because as this year has developed and I've gotten these different opportunities, everyone's like, oh, this girl just came out of nowhere. And I'm like, no. I've been working hard for so long. It's actually terrifying. This year, in the first week of January, I wrote my like New Year's style resolutions post, and I went back and looked for my old ones. This was my third style resolution. This is my third year doing Style Girlfriend.
Okay.
And in that time, like I went from having like 2 readers, you know, to where I am now. So it's not like this overnight success thing, and anyone that has that is either like lying or
or connected.
Or connected. Or I don't know what, but I want to meet them because it's a lot of work. Like the way that I started Style Girlfriend was because 3+ years ago I was working in advertising as an account person, which is not a creative field. I was not writing. I was writing client emails at 3 a.m, but I was not writing. I was not being creative. So I started working with Michelle.
Plug for me, yay.
Through the introduction of a friend, she said, you know, I know you've been wanting to get out of advertising, but I feel like you're a little stuck, and, you know, Michelle can help you just make it a path, make it be a process. And I love that. Like, I love homework, and I love having people just help me shape what it is I want to do in really, like, broken down chunks and actionables. And so that's what we did. And so I was able to leave advertising with like a bunch of cobbled together freelance writing positions. So one of the writing things that I was doing as I was still in advertising was a friend of mine started this custom suit business called Evolution of Style, and he was like, oh, like I need some content for my site. Do you want to write like a weekly something? And I was like, well, I don't know anything about men's suits.
Right.
What on earth should I write about? He goes, oh, I don't know. Like just write about whatever you think about guys' style. Like just, you know, write about what you see guys wearing that you like, what you don't. I said, well, that's easy enough. I think lots of things.
Right.
And so I started, and it was a weekly thing, and it did really well, and did really well, and did really well, and then it got syndicated. So McClatchy Tribune, this wire service, came to me and said, you know, we found this column.
Right.
Would you want to put it on the wire every week? And so from there, you know, my Style Girlfriend column started showing up everywhere from like the LA Times to you know the Orlando Sentinel, like wherever, well, whatever, anywhere on my Google alerts, you know, it's from week to week. I kind of don't know where it's gonna show up, but I said, well, this is really a thing. Like this is something that is more than just like for my friend's site. And so he and I both agreed that it was time to spin it off. And shockingly, stylegirlfriend.com was not taken. So I got it, and it, you know, I started to really build up the content, and I went from writing 1 post a week to just adding more and more content to the point that, you know, I was able to take on an intern, and I was able to make it just be a bigger part of what I was doing. And then in this past year, I really said, okay, like this isn't something where I want to like do it before I go do something else or do it, you know, when I get home. I was like, I want to do this. So if I'm going to, then I need to start saying no to other things and focus on this, which is hard because it's important. Like, you know, financial security might go down a bit, but like you're just that much happier, and it's an investment in yourself. Like you have to see that like saying no to this other thing now hopefully means that, you know,
does everyone hear this?
Over it.
Does everyone hear this? This is totally what I hear, and this is totally what I believe, and this is what I work with clients on too. And I'm working on it for myself also. I'm really bad about saying no, because I want to do everything, and everything sounds fun and everything sounds great, but I love the intention that okay, once Style Girlfriend became a thing, going, this is where I see it, and I have to just steer my ship. Like, where are you steering your ship? That's where you want to steer your ship.
Yes, absolutely. And I think even with Style Girlfriend, something that I'm having to work on now is I get very focused on the day-to-day. And, like, I want to make sure that, like, Wednesday's post is ready to go and, like, looks good, whereas maybe it's more important for me to be spending time, like, doing outreach with brands or thinking about doing video content, you know, whatever it is. And I think that's going to be my goal now for this year, is not just to be spending more time on Style Girlfriend, but to be spending time on, like, the big picture things.
That's exciting.
That's scary.
Yeah, totally scary, but exciting. It's easy. I feel like it's easy to get wrapped up when you're a solopreneur, and, like, oftentimes I feel like email's my job. Like, my job is to answer email, or my job is to write blog posts, and I use a great time tracker called Freckle. It's at letsfreckle.com, and I did a report for the year. You guys could all see it on my blog today. I posted it, whenIgrowupcoach.com/blog. I spent 99 hours answering email last year. 99 hours. And what's amazing is that when I went, like, okay, I'm going to have the intention for 2013. I'm going to answer email for 1 hour a day. And that's it, and open it up, whatever. 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, answering email is like even more than that. I'm not that fast with math, but I worked this out this week, and I went, oh my God, that's even too much. Like, even that's too much. I have to do it like 30 minutes a day. I have to do it's unbelievable how easily we can kind of get into that trap.
And it's so responsive, and it's so
there's something accomplishment based about it too. Like, it's kind of like when you have something on your Netflix queue and you watch it, you feel like I could cross that off my list. I could file that email away. Like, you could see the workload less. So sometimes that's, you know, and seeing, here's my blog post is very kind of accomplishment based, where
when in fact, like, watching Moonrise Kingdom is not really
right.
Didn't make any money.
It didn't, exactly. It could be a good rest, small about recharging and treating yourself and whatever, and those are good things. But, like, knowing that, okay, you creating video content isn't instantaneously something that could be checked off the list or shown or whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk a little bit about when you left your job and when you gave your notice and what that was like and how you knew you were ready.
I wish I could. But I can't because I actually got the boot. I was working...
Forgot about that.
Yeah. I was working with you, and it happened in January, I guess 3 years ago, so whatever that was, 2010.
Right.
And I took a job in advertising that I was like, this is my last job in advertising. I'm gonna leave after this, because it's like an amazing opportunity. It's the best agency in the city. It's what people come to New York to work in advertising to do. But I said, but I'm gonna leave in January.
Right.
So I work all fall and winter on this project that, like, literally I was at work till 2 or 3 in the morning every single night. And I'm really proud of the project, but, like, after it was done, it, like, launched in, like, end of November. I was exhausted.
Right.
And so I was like, well, it's gonna, you know, it's kind of nice to leave work at, like, 7 every day instead of 2 in the morning. Like, I'm just gonna kind of hang out for a minute. And there was just layoffs.
Right.
And they noticed that I was no longer, like, giving 1,000%. Which in advertising is like, if you're not there till 8 every night, that's like you being a slacker.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons I did not like advertising. Not because I'm not a hard worker, but I believe in a bit more work-life balance. Which I hate that
not
I even
running
felt
yourself
like
into the ground.
I had to justify that, but that's the case. And so there was layoffs, and I was one of them, and it was really funny because it was in January. And so I came home and, like, had a good, like, Cry Fest 99, and was like, it sucks that happened, because that is, like, them seeing that I'm not, like, a good worker or good at my job. But then it was like, but I wasn't. I hated my job. Like, I was happy to leave every day. I didn't want to be there anymore. And so it was, like, the best thing that could have happened. And so, like I said, I had cobbled together enough at that point that I was able to, like, be okay, but I mean, it really was
that
like
shift.
financial security, like
Of
having to
course.
from the other way around. So for a while I was like, I mean, I was struggling, and right now I'm lucky enough that I'm able to do Style Girlfriend, and I have like a really great freelance arrangement where I do copywriting for this beauty brand, along with like a couple of other smaller things. So it's, you know, it's still sort of this cobbled together life, but it's something where I'm doing what I want to be doing,
Right.
and I'm
Right.
writing, and I'm,
Right.
you know, living. Maybe not everyone's dream, because it's still really effing hard.
Right,
But, you know,
right.
I'm doing what I feel like I'm in control of my hours every day, which is a really great feeling.
So nice to have that reassurance as a freelancer and entrepreneur that like, oh, where my money's coming from, I like that. So yes, while I'm sure that you prefer to like, let's have the development deal go through and have this be what I'm focusing on, and no, I don't need to worry about anything else. Having the copywriting, that's such a smooth transition, and a beauty brand,
Yeah.
what you are doing.
Yeah, I mean,
What you wanna be
exactly.
working on.
It's still in the same sphere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I talk a lot about being a Renaissance soul. And it's a great book called The Renaissance Soul by Margaret Lobenstein, which I recommend to everyone. And I think that we need to kind of out the fact that there are and careers. And there are, you know, slash careers, and people are doing this, and it's like more than an adequate way to make a living, to honor the parts of yourself that are really multi-passionate. And there are lots of different ways to do it. So, amen and hallelujah. It sounds like that's part of, you know, what you're doing too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And I mean, I would be happy, like I said, I'm really working in 2013 to have Style Girlfriend be what I do, kind of sentence.
Right.
But
thanks
I
for
feel
being
really
honest
grateful
about
for, the fact that I'm able to be doing that in a more gradual way, or that I have been up to now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, if you could change anything about kind of your progression or the story or getting fired, is there anything that you would have changed? Besides the genie, finding the genie and just going, can you make this all happen?
the poop.
Yeah.
No, I think I needed to be fired.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I had set that goal for myself, and when January came, I had no intention of keeping it. Like, if I'm being really honest with myself, I was going to coast for a little while longer, because it was easier, and even though I was unhappy, at least it was stable, and it was, you know, I felt like I needed to wait, or that I needed to have that perfect opportunity come along to get me out of advertising, and I think the fact is there was never going to be a perfect opportunity, and I having that kick in the pants really said, well, it's okay if it's not perfect. It's you know, you just got to get yourself out there. As cheesy as that sounds.
Such a good tweetable. You guys want to tweet that? It's okay. It's not perfect. You just have to get yourself out there. Totally want to like put that on the neon sign. If anyone has any questions, I'm so surprised there aren't any questions that have popped up. If you're asking them in the text chat, we're not really following that. So if I could ask you to like copy and paste if there are any questions in there.
But I do see my sister just...
Shut up!
Yep. Hi, Alana.
Yay! Hi, Alana.
Oh.
I submitted 2 text questions, really? Oh, here they are. Hooray!
Oh.
Okay, so let's pull this up. We'll take a little break for questions. Amanda Hirsch. Look how cool this is, right?
Oh my gosh.
It is so
Super
2013.
professional.
Sorry if I missed this, but has she said how she makes money from her blog yet? In kind of a roundabout way, but let's be a bit more specific, I guess.
Sure. I think that's actually a really
That's
great
okay.
question, and I think that that's something that especially bloggers do not talk about nearly enough, and I find that to be frustrating.
Yeah.
Because if you are passionate about something and you want to be able to do it full time, like, why not
Right.
let people know how you're doing it? Ad revenue is one. I belong to an ad network that's like specifically for menswear bloggers, so theoretically it's supposed to be pulling in content that's like relevant to what's talked about on the site. Although I have found that that's not really the case, because with ad networks, they also have to like fill any gaps. So like during the campaign, like a Mitt Romney ad came up on my site, and I was
Sorry, liberals.
I don't endorse
Right.
his khakis. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter, but like, it's not about fashion. It's not about style, so I don't want it on here. So in the new year, I'm looking into actually just sort of working directly with brands on like sponsored content or sponsored ads in that way. So it's like, you know, for an entire month, it might be like Bonobos, like next to my picture, whatever it is. So that's one, but that's not a huge part of it. More of it comes from sponsored content.
Mm-hmm.
So a brand might say, we want to do a giveaway with you. And I say, okay, great, it's this amount. Because I'm not just, I'm not doing this for fun. And
right.
and I'm definitely not doing it for the clothes, because like brands might want to send me clothes, but they're
men's
dudes' clothes. So I'm like, this doesn't do me any good. And then it doesn't put a roof over my head unless I can like drape the jeans
over the cardboard box.
Exactly, that I live on the street. So it's, you see that as like an admin fee, or like, I'm administrating this giveaway, so I'm going to charge you this because I have to write the post to talk about it, and I have to pick the winner, and I have to do this, and that's fine. And I think that, you have to sort of value yourself at whatever, you take into account like your readership, and you take into account how engaged those readers are, and if, you're going to get a ton of comments, and they're going to get a ton of, traffic to their site from me saying, hey, I really like these jeans, whatever it is. And, you have to be smart about it, because I don't believe in, blogging from your trash can on the street. And if I'm going to be talking about a pair of jeans anyways, I'm very happy to be working with that brand and to have something at the bottom of this post that says, like, this post was sponsored.
Right.
But I wouldn't work with the brand unless I wasn't going to be recommending them anyway. And then something else that's kind of been coming up, and something that I'm going to be working on for the new year is, like I said, taking the site offline and being the face of Style Girlfriend a bit more. So to that end, I'm doing more video content for, like, brands. So that's...
Ooh, what does that look like? What does that mean?
Well, I have something coming up at the end of the month with a brand where I'm going to be talking about style on their site.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So that's something where, again, it's not, it's not from like a static ad unit in like the top corner of your site, but it's, it's something where you're leveraging, hey, I built this readership. My readers know me. They're going to go to your site because they're going to find me on it.
Right.
So for me, I think that making money from blogging is not, like, I think the standard thing that people think about is like ads, and that's not how you make money from blogging. It's about all the things you do on top of it, which is why that brings us back to, I need to do in 2013 a better job of like doing more of the big picture stuff, the reaching out to brands, the saying I want to collaborate with you, the, appearances, like doing in-store things or whatever it might be, like styling sessions. All of that stuff has to become bigger on my to-do list.
Right.
Because that is where, that's going to be how I get bigger in a way that's more than just my readers know that tomorrow they're going to show up and there's going to be a post there. Like, I have to look beyond that.
Right. So it sounds like blogging, the bulk of your income doesn't come from your blog. It was more of a platform for you to get the connections that actually pay you for.
Sure, but I wouldn't have those opportunities if I didn't have
the blog. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But so is it, and without getting into specifics, if you're not comfortable with that, is your blog still like a large chunk of income for you based on your other writing gigs? And
I think that, that's how you define what income is coming from the blog. Like this video that I did for this site, I absolutely consider that like Style Girlfriend income.
Right. Get it.
Yeah.
Get it. Thank you, Amanda. Let me take one more question, and then we're going to talk about being an expert, because I think we want to do this. So, Lauren. Hi, Lauren. Awesome. What was the worst and lowest moment, and how did you dig yourself out of focus and GSD? Get shit done, I think.
Ooh.
We're cursing up in here on Style Girlfriend. Lauren Caselli's awesome.
That is a great question, and putting it in caps made it extra scary. And
the worst and lowest moment, extra drama. Think like Friday Night Lights. You didn't kill anyone by accident and then have to cover it up.
That was a low moment for the season.
Yeah.
That's a really good question, and I wish that I could pick out one of them. We were talking earlier about how I find it really frustrating when like someone like the Man Repeller is like, oh, I started this site, and then the next day, Prada is throwing money and shoes at me. Like, good for her, and I'm not begrudging that at all, but that definitely was not my experience. Like I said, I've been working on this for 3 years now, and it's been about a slow build. And I hope in 2013 that it goes from like gradual to like, wow, crazy takeoff, and you can't turn your head without seeing me. Like, I absolutely want that, don't get me wrong, but like having that slow build is something that's important, but not super gratifying all the time. Like, you don't have these big wins, and so that can get discouraging.
Right.
Right. I think for me, a low moment was I redesigned my website last summer, and I know nothing about coding or anything like that, so I purchased a WordPress template online, and then I hired someone through Elance to implement it. And it was fine, and it wasn't great, and the guy wasn't super responsive, but like it got done and it went up, and I was like, I didn't feel great about the redesign, and it was like, fine. But then over July 4th weekend, I'm like away, I'm camping, and I get this email when I like get back into sell, range, and it's this random person who I've never ever heard of, never got an email from, saying, I'm the one that implemented the changes on your site. I was never paid by the developer. So it was like some random guy in India where like I paid the guy on Elance like $100, and then he paid the guy in India like $10, and then he never paid the guy in India the $10. And I was like, are you kidding? This is my independence.
Right.
And he's saying, if you don't pay me, I'm going to shut down your site. He said, I'm going to destroy you. And I was like, oh no.
Right.
And so I'm literally coming back into the city. I'm like on my phone, trying to email the Elance guy, trying to email this guy. And like, whatever, I paid the guy $10.
Right,
I paid him $10 because what are you going to do? But like, that was so frustrating. And it was one of those things where like, this is not a constructive way to think, but like, I was like, I bet the man repeller never had to deal with this. I bet she never had somebody, threatening to take down her site, because I bet she was able to pay someone a good amount of money to like do this thing and like have a real redesign and like, why didn't I, why can't I do things right? Or like, why don't things work out for me the way that I feel like they're supposed to, or the way that I feel they do for other people? Not a constructive way to think. Maybe the man repeller did have that. I have no idea.
Right.
But like, it was just really frustrating because it felt like I just let myself get into this mode of like, the kind of thing just happens to me because of me. And it was really hard, and it was really frustrating, and like I said, I already wasn't happy with the redesign, and then I'm like getting blackmailed, and I was just like, what am I doing this for? Like, I could just get a job in advertising and be like working on freaking Kinko's commercials tomorrow. Like, my life could be less complicated.
Right.
So that was really frustrating, and I was really like, again, I just had like a throw myself on the bed when I got into the apartment and like cried for a solid hour about like, why is this my life? And then I was fine. And then I called the guy out on Twitter, and all of my followers were like, yeah, screw you, weird guy that's like threatening Megan, which is great. Like, one of the best things about Style Girlfriend is that like I have this like army and this posse of like, imagine like every one of your older brother's guy friends in high school that like are in love with you and also kind of give you a hard time because you're like their friend's little sister. That is all of my readers, and I love them for it. Like, they're the greatest because they're just really positive. Like, I would hate to work on a website where comment sections were filled with like negativity and like people being like, that's a stupid thing to say. Like, all my readers are like helping other readers out, and like, if somebody has a question, they're like jumping in to help, and if somebody is like says something, like if someone kind of stumbles on my site and is like, it's like, you seem ignorant, everyone's like, well, you seem ignorant.
You don't even have to deal with it.
I don't even have to deal with it. They're like so protective and so great. So in that way, like, that was actually really great, because that, like I said, like, I got home and I was like tweeting about it, saying like, who can help me with this situation? And so many people were like, were emailing me like, I'm a lawyer, I'm gonna do, I could do this, or do you need me to like blah blah blah? And I was like, thank you. So it
fantastic.
went from being like a low moment to this like amazing, like, just heartening thing to be like,
revolution.
Yeah, like, what I do matters to people, and like people have my back, and like that was really great. So
I have to just give solidarity to that, because I've had the same. I think I've been blogging now for 4 years ish, and maybe I've had 1 or 2 like negative comments. And that's it. So you might hear all about trolls and blogging, and I know that a lot of my clients get nervous, like, oh, if I put something out there and people don't like it, I'm like, oh my God, what if they call me these horrible names and blah, blah, blah. I think unless you're really going out of your way to be super controversial or say something really offensive, it doesn't happen as often as we're kind of told it happens, I feel like.
And it is your opinion, and if you were on a website not saying anything controversial or not saying anything that anyone could disagree with, then like, you're probably not being that interesting. So
yay, that's a tweetable too. That's a tweetable too.
I'm fine with people disagreeing, but I just think you have to do it respectfully. And I'm very adamant that my site is like not a democracy. Like, you don't get to say whatever you want. Like, I own this. This is my house. Like, you don't get to come in and like be rude to me.
Such a great way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, why do you need that? Like, I'm doing this for you, and it's not like I'm charging. Like, I'm letting you in free, and then you come in and be a jerk to me. Like, no.
Right. There's no obligation for you to put anything up or keep anything up that doesn't make you comfortable.
Yeah.
Being up and putting up.
Right.
That's it. It is your home. I love that. I love that piece. And solidarity too, in terms of that feeling of like, why did I choose to do this? Because that's totally what it is. This is our choice, all of our choices, and we could have life be a lot easier. But at the same time, I was talking about this the other day. I used to do real estate, like way back when. And when I first started, I would show like really super fancy apartment buildings, high-end rentals on like Wall Street Financial District. And I was, I don't know, probably about 25-ish. And I was showing these 22-year-olds right out of college before the economy collapsed because I'm old. Right out of college, these, $4,000 a month rental apartments because they were work on Wall Street, and their starting salary was like $80,000 or $90,000 with bonuses. They were making like upwards of six figures, and I kind of went like, oh, well, I can't be mad at them. Yeah. I can't begrudge them that choice. I could have made a choice like that, and you can't pay me enough money to sit and work on Wall Street and have that sort of life. And I'd rather choose the hard way and do things myself.
And then I think you just have to own it. Like, I think beyond that, I think once you make that choice, then like if you're like, I was up till 1 a.m. working on a blog post, like, I don't feel bad for you. Like, you chose to do that. So like, I make a big effort not to complain about my job or my career because I picked it, and like, I just hate that. I hate when people are like, oh, well, I got up at 5 this morning. And it's like, great, good story. Like, I don't care. You didn't have to do that.
Right.
And I know
there are other choices you can make.
There are
other choices you can make.
It's just really exhausting. Like, and I found that a lot in advertising, is that a lot of people, like, all people want to do is complain about their jobs, and who needs that?
Right. Right. I'm with you.
I don't have 8 kids. Like, I don't have any, like, I'm lucky enough that I get to choose that right now and be, selfish, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. But so when things get tough, I don't feel like it's valid, or I don't feel like it's very fair for me to complain about it. So
I love it.
So I think that's great that you were like, good for you, rich
people. Great. Good. I hope you love it. That is not even close to the life that I want to live. I have my job, and I think it was paying me $100 a day at the time. And I was an actress, and so I was able to like work around my auditions, and that's what was important to me.
Yep.
So it was fine. I was making my $400 or $500 a week from this job, being like, okay, great. And I was living in a super cheap apartment, and those were my choices, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about owning your expertise. Owning your expertise.
I wish there was like something that came across.
Owning your expertise. I know I'm not that tech savvy. We might be able to do it. I have no idea. Arwen, owning your expertise. I don't even think that I don't know if we could do it. Just pretend it's there. Because I don't know. This has come up a few times, and I think too, I want to highlight this in a positive way. That like, you don't have a background or a degree or anything in fashion. Nope. Or writing, right? Well,
yeah,
right?
Yes.
So what did you go to school for?
I am a loser and triple majored in French political science and ad PR. So public relations, I guess, would be the closest thing to writing, but that was, press releases and media alerts and learning how to bullet things down. And, so no, I had no background in creative writing or journalism or anything like that. And I certainly did not have any experience in men's fashion at all. I say on my site, that, like in my About Me, I say that my first experience with men's fashion was like taking my brother's starter jacket hand-me-down and like wearing that until like June. And I loved it. Like, don't get me wrong, I was actually a huge tomboy. I wore all my brother's old clothes. So that's like my closest tie to men's fashion, is like having my like style icon be Jonathan Taylor Thomas. And I was like 12 years old. But that's it. Then I grew up, and I decided that the bowl cut was not
working for you anymore.
Grew out my hair, and was like, pretty girly girl from then on. And so yeah, my first real like dedicated thinking about men's style was when my friend asked me to start writing on the topic. And from then, I've really taken a position of like, I am a fan, not an expert, which I still think is
tweetable. I'm a fan, not an expert.
And I think that sort of allowed me. That's allowed me to get away with saying what I want, because I kind of have that as like a foundation. Like, I never claim to be Tim Gunn, whatever. Right. But at the same time, having talked about it for this long and having sort of having thought about it for this long, having it be something that now day in day out I do think about and research and gain knowledge on, I do feel comfortable saying like I can be a resource. And if other people want to use the word expert, I will let them. But it's not necessarily something that I'm not putting that on a business card.
Right. I've yet to meet anyone that feels good calling themselves an expert, even when they have all the history and the degrees and the experience and whatever. It's like such a word we shrink away from.
I think women especially have a problem being just I don't know, maybe not, maybe you're like, speak for yourself.
No, I have a problem with it too. I mean, and I work like very much predominantly with women, and it's always been kind of an issue. That's interesting though. If it's a woman-centric issue, but it kind of makes sense that
whenever I have problems in business, like whenever I have a problem, like if a brand like balks at wanting to pay me whatever, like I always blame it on being a woman. Like,
if I was a man,
yeah, I would just be like, no, this is the price, and like, and I wouldn't get emotional about it, and I wouldn't, that's just something I'm continually working on, is not getting weird about money and asking for money, and not getting weird about like the expert thing, or you have to like be more comfortable being like, yeah, I've been talking about men's fashion for 3 years.
I know what I'm talking about.
Like, yes, I know what I'm talking about. That's fine. And other people might know more than me, and that's fine too. Like, I think that if you get yourself into that, always comparing, then sure, you're always going to feel less than, but I know more about men's style than you do.
Right. Absolutely. So there.
Like, absolutely. I'm comfortable with that, saying I can talk to you about it from a place of knowledge, because I, just like you can talk to me about being a career coach, and I'm going to listen because you've been doing that,
Right.
Like, I think it's just, you have to accept it, because otherwise, you're going to be like, going along kind of being like, oh, but don't, being too modest and being too humble, and that doesn't do you any favors, because then people don't want to listen to you.
Right. Well, and I think going back to what you said earlier about how you even got into becoming a style girlfriend, and you were kind of asked out of the blue, like, hey, want to write this, we need this post, do you want to write it? And you're like, I don't know anything about men's fashion, but you have a perspective, and you have an opinion, just as being a person and a woman and living in New York City and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and there's this thing called Google. So if a guy writes me and says, like, what's houndstooth? You know what? I can look it up. So could he, but, like, he came to me, and so I can just, like, be that intermediary for him.
Right.
That's fine.
Absolutely.
I'm not, like, stitching people together. Like, it's not something where I actually need, like, a
Right. Do you feel it's safe to say, though, that, like, the expertise or being able to really claim the fact that you know about men's style comes from just time and experience and doing it and trusting?
Absolutely. I mean, from the very get-go, when my friend said to me, just write about what you think about guy style, it literally was as easy as me like looking at people on the street and being like, oh, I like that guy has dark rinse straight leg jeans on, and I do not like that guy has light wash boot cut jeans on.
Right.
Boom, there's the post. Like, it really is just that.
Right.
And so I think that, that's not that hard. Like, I can absolutely say what I like to see a guy wearing, and it doesn't mean that that's what all girls want to see guys wearing, but it's you're coming to my site, so you're getting my opinion.
Yay! I just want to drive that home even further. I just like, because I think a lot of people that would stop them. Like, oh, well, I like this, and I don't like this, but who am I to say that, so let's not say anything at all. And instead, when and you're kind of following with, okay, well, this is my opinion, this is what I think looks good, you could choose to do it, or you could go someplace else.
Right, absolutely.
I think a lot of people talk themselves out of putting that out there. But that's how you get the experience and the expertise, and just start learning and knowing and Doing it. Don't wait for it to be perfect. You don't need like to go back to school or to take a class, or I'm all about making sure that my clients, and I did this for myself too when I left my executive assistant job, are comfortable and confident and owning what they're doing and feeling like they have something to offer. But 9 times out of 10 that comes with actually doing it. So you could read and prepare and take classes and degrees as much as you want, and yes, that could be a great thing to put on your resume or your About Me or whatever, that you have these credentials. But really, people want to work with you and want to read what you have to say if you've been doing it. You have that experience. You can only get it by doing it. So it's a bit of a catch-22.
Absolutely. When I was looking to leave advertising, I was like thinking about taking a writing class, and I was going to let that be like a deterrent for me leaving advertising. I was going to be like, but I'm going to take this class and then.
I mean, hearing you talk about it, it seems like you were adamant that like, okay, this is going to be the last month, I'm going to leave this date, but you kind of never know, like if it was left up to you, how much longer would you have? Yeah,
because you can just keep making excuses like, oh, well, I got put on this project, or I'm going to take this class, but after that I'm take the class, then I'll be ready. And it's like, you could always be not ready, or you could just
just do it.
Just do it.
Let's take Liz's question, because Liz is awesome. And she says, hi, Megan. Could you talk a little bit about setting and achieving realistic goals consistently? They are not asking easy questions for you. These are like 4 real questions. Whew. Thanks, Liz. Hi, Liz.
I think that's a really great question. And I think I was talking about that a little earlier, having loved working with Michelle, because everything was like, okay, what's your big goal? Okay, what's your littler goal? And then, okay, what's what are just like the tasks that you can take to get those done? Because holy moly, do I love a to-do list. Like, I put things on my to-do list that I've done so that I can check it off.
I do that too. I do that too. Yeah.
And like sad things, like wash your hair. Like, yeah.
Do you put that on your
sometimes?
I love it.
If it's like the weekend. So yeah, I think that it's about taking like, for people that make resolutions that are like, I'm going to lose weight in 2013, like, they don't lose weight, or if they do, they don't keep it off, because it's not like a really actionable, like, you can't check against it. So if it's like, I'm going to lose 5 pounds in January, that's something where like at the end of January you weigh yourself, did you lose 5 pounds? Like, yes or no. So for me, it's about like, I'm going to increase my Twitter followers by X to X by whatever date. Because that's really the only way that you can check against yourself. And also having written them down, then it like, you go from there and say, okay, well then what am I going to do to make that happen? Okay, well I'm going to engage more on Twitter. Like I'm going to spend 15 minutes a day like reaching out to people, or I'm going to do this or that. And so I think if you can take every single goal and make it be something where it can go on your day's to-do list.
Yes.
Like you have to be able to break it down to the point where it just becomes a task and not a goal.
Right. So setting it up to begin with, that it's actionable and measurable, and then breaking it down from there and being able to transfer that to your to-do list or however.
Absolutely.
To kind of see it. How do you decide, you talking earlier about like video content or speaking or doing, your own styling for people, how do you decide what's like your next project or what you're going to be working on when you have so many options?
I mean, some of it is taking what comes to you. Some things, because I've worked this hard, now people, are finding me a bit, which is amazing and a little less exhausting because you don't have to be pitching all the time, and approaching people and approaching brands. So some of it is like accepting what comes in and sort of rolling with that, and then the rest is like I want to do video content, so so I'm gonna explore different like Vokle or whether it's whatever it is. You start exploring your different options, and then what is really interesting is finding out that like maybe something, there's like a tangent from that then becomes bigger, or like you think that this is going to be your big, not money maker, but like you think that this might take up a lot of your time, but then it turns out that like this is really what people respond to. So I think, you have to be responsive to what your audience wants. Yesterday I put up a post that like every Monday I do reader questions, and someone was like, I'm in like a military college, and like it's really hard to meet girls because it's like a small town. How do I meet like smart, stylish girls? And I was like, that's a great question. Like, and I think cute. I always have to bring things back to style, obviously, because I don't want it to just sort of become like just talking to talk. So, I like that he was like, how do I meet like cool, stylish girls. I try to put myself together, so that's, you know, the type of person I'm looking for. And honestly, so then I just went in and talked about, like, oh, well, when I was in school, like, this is what I did, and, you know, here's how I met people. And I got such a great response from it. Like, people loved it and were like, literally in the comments were like, can you write about this kind of stuff more often? And I was like, okay, like, that's not something I expected, because it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like, what should I wear to school tomorrow? So it wasn't so tightly centered around style, but it gave me a lot to think about, because now I'm like, well, maybe there should be like a style girlfriend guide to dating or something like that. Right, you know,
that could be where you branch out.
You know, about relating between men and women and my female perspective on how guys act, you know. So that's something that now is going to go on my to-do list tomorrow. Let's think about, you know, how to incorporate that into the site. So you have to kind of be open. Like, I think if you're too rigid about, like, this is where I'm going to be focusing my energy, but then people don't respond to it, but you're so holding on so tightly to it, then that kind of puts you in a bind as well.
How else, you mentioned, like, you notice the comments, you're paying attention to the comments. Is there any other way that you kind of measure what people are responding to? And what you're being asked to talk about or weigh in on?
I think, I mean, I get a lot of reader questions. So if I get a lot of reader questions about, like, what shoes should I get this fall, like, then I'll do a post on that. So my readers are pretty good about telling me what they want.
That's great. That's great. It's just worth, you know, keeping your eyes open. And I like that piece of, not that you want to abandon what you want to be doing, but you have to pay attention if there are a lot of people showing up and what they're asking of you. That's just a really easy way to connect with them, to make more money, you know. And then it could be, if you decide, who knows, in a few years down the line, maybe you don't want to be so focused on style. Maybe you're going to be like an, I don't know, dating, relationship person, and it's all going to be tied in, and it's going to evolve. But that's a natural kind of progression too. Absolutely. And I think that you kind of have to look at yourself like a startup, and startups constantly have to pivot. Like, they might think that what their users want from them is X, and it turns out to be Y, and if they're smart companies, then they start offering Y. And so I think it's the same thing. I mean, you have to be willing to be flexible. It's a great comparison. I love that. I like thinking of myself as a startup. This might be the last... the Facebook kind, like the kind that goes on and makes zillions of dollars. Perfect. Amanda just has a follow-up question. How did McClatchy and GQ find you? I don't think we talked about that yet. Oh, that's a good question. McClatchy found me. He just found you. Just found me. They got in touch with John, who's the owner of Evolution of Style, and said, like, we love this column that you have on your site. Like, can we get in touch with Megan? And he put us in touch. And I've been working with them ever since. They're great. And GQ, you know, it's really funny. This is actually, we're having some truth talk today. GQ, a friend of mine is friends with, like, the guy who's the social media editor at GQ, and introduced us, and we got along really well, and, you know, we're friendly. We, like, have drinks sometimes, and he ended up approaching me and saying, hey, I'm starting up this series on, like, what was it called? That's What She Said. Ah, my favorite. Like, I want you to be the first. And I was like, great. But, like, in my head, I was like, oh, but so it's not really, like, I'm not really being featured in GQ. Like, it's just my friend. Like, it doesn't really count. Like, and it was crazy how hard it's been for me to let go of that. Like, me thinking that GQ doesn't count because I knew the person, which is ridiculous. Like, he wouldn't, you know, like, he wouldn't have put me in if he didn't think that it was a worthwhile thing, and he wouldn't, you know, it's not just, like, friends being like, it's still GQ. Like, it's still, like, there's gatekeepers. I'm glad you know that you're being ridiculous. I know that I'm being ridiculous, but it's still, I can't tell you how much I let it sort of keep me from feeling good about it. Like, when it happened, and still to this day, since we're talking about it, like, there has been some, like, agita around me being able to kind of accept that that's just, like, I deserve that good thing happening to me. So, that's how it happened, but it happened because I'm awesome. Yay! It's Style Girlfriend is awesome, and everyone should know about it. I like how Amanda wrote friends count in the text. It's totally true. Well, let's talk about this in our last few minutes. And Professor McDuffel, we don't mean to ignore your question, but you want to know about anyone with a living with parents story, and I don't, and
my folks are back in with
so yeah, if I have a guest on who's lived with their parents, then I'll definitely talk about it. But we don't have any experience with that at this point.
Thank God.
But I think networking. I mean, we can talk about our last 5 minutes because I think that's a big thing that lots of people know they need to be doing, but how? And there are so many different ways to do it, and what's the right way? So I love that GQ came from a personal connection and someone you knew in person and whatever. Do you have like a networking marketing strategy or certain things that you do or certain things that you feel led to you having the success that you're having with Style Girlfriend?
I hate the word networking.
I know, I do too.
And it's because of that,
it's
basically. Because I guess I could have technically considered this something that came out of network rather than just like me being bros with this guy.
Right.
But like, that's what it more is. And so I think if anything, my strategy for networking is to not consider it networking. Like, you just have to be really engaged and be like, maybe I could stay home and watch West Wing on Netflix, or I could go to this party where I know that there are going to be people that work in fashion and menswear and publishing will be, and I will talk to them, and it will be fun.
Right.
Like, that's how I consider.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I consider my networking strategy, is just seeing the opportunity that I live in New York, and there's all of these people that like I could get to know, and that it might be good for me to know them and for them to know me, and see that as worthwhile, and be comfortable with if it turns into friends and if it turns into us working together, that like that's all valid and that's all like why I'm doing it.
Right. And I like that okay, they wouldn't have asked you to be in GQ if you didn't deserve it, if you didn't think that it was just because he knows you. Doesn't mean he's putting all his friends in GQ.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense. But I love that piece, and I've banned that like marketing, sales, promotion word, and I substitute the word hoopla for it instead. So it's like, oh, time to have hoopla around grown-up gigs, time to have hoopla. And so I love that piece, and I think you've inspired me a little bit to do more in-person hoopla, because I have not been good about taking advantage of living in New York City and about the hoopla, like, and being in person and meeting people. And so that's one of my, New Year's resolutions. I'll put quotes around it because I don't necessarily believe in resolutions, but like I want to go to more of those events. But whenever I see it as a networking event, and I'm the most extroverted person ever. Like, you will not meet someone more extroverted, and I hate those things. I don't want to go anywhere by myself. It was weird. Like, so I'd be very surprised. I think that there is just barely anyone on earth that likes doing that, putting themselves out there. But when I do it, I always end up meeting these great people, and it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I don't know, there's something like similar.
And even for things where like you might think about that just about like a career coach summit or something, but honestly, like, you could go to a cooking class and end up standing next to someone who's like a producer for the Today Show.
Yes.
And then they put you on like there, you have to just kind of see it as like, I'm gonna go out and meet interesting people, and something awesome might come from it. Like, nothing should be networking. Like, your life should be
right. You
live your life in this like non-networking, just socializing way, and I think really good things can come from it.
And I think I see in the text chat that Rebecca asked, how do you do hoopla if you're introverted? And I think that that's kind of the answer. Like, do things that you find fun. Do things that you find interesting. For me, when I started blogging, I took Holly Becker, is a big blogger. She writes a blog called Decor Age, like super, super popular, and has had these book deals and whatever. This was back in 2008, and I needed help with blogging, and I loved her blog, and I took her course. I showed up, and I was excited for the content, and I looked around and went, oh, I'm the only coach in like a sea full of designers, because her blog was all about design, and I went, holy crap, this is like the best PR opportunity. Because I was really invested and I was there for me, and I ended up getting hired by quite a few people in that course like right away, and other people gave me as referrals, and other people hired me a year or two later. But just being there because I needed it, and showing up, and then and just being active was great.
Yeah.
Was great. And then I made the mistake to enroll the next time she ran it, to be like, oh, this is the best $100 I'll spend, this is great, this is better than an ad. But I didn't need the content anymore, and I didn't show up, and so I was only kind of like showing up very sporadically, and I didn't make the connections that I made. So I think that that's, you know, a big piece. If you're an introvert, like, go do things that are going to be fun for you. Go find that word that you need to replace the networking, the connections, and whatever.
Yes. I like hoopla. That's
I
good.
like hoopla. Yeah. I have one of my clients calls it ballyhoo, which I think is great. And I know someone else who just calls it connecting. Like, I'm going to connect now. And someone else calls it invitation. So I think that is great. Yeah, follow the fun, follow just your life and your own interests. And I think it's true too, like, don't be afraid to talk about what you do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us shy away from that, especially if we're not doing it full time yet. So if you're talking to someone and it naturally comes up and you have that connection, don't be afraid to say, you know, you could say, oh, I'm an executive assistant now, but I write the style blog.
Yes.
And, you know, here's the link, or this is what I love to do.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy about
people
talking
love
about
to
what you're
hear
doing.
about you being interested in something.
Yes.
Like, no one wants to, like, before, like, nobody wants to hear that you got up at 5 in the morning and life is hard. Like, people want to hear that you're reading this great book that you love, or, you're working on, you know, painting, whatever it is. Like, people want to hear the stuff that you want to talk about.
Yes.
It's way more interesting than the boring stuff you want to complain about.
Yeah, right, totally. Yay, it looks like that's our time. This was so fun, and everything worked. You could hear us and see I was really nervous about that. So go visit Megan at stylegirlfriend.com. Come visit me at whenigrowupcoach.com. And on January 22nd, I'm going to be here with Kate Spencer, who works for VH1.com and, like, not only writes on, like, the blog, but she, like, is on the red carpet interviewing the celebrities.
Ooh.
She's kind of made a career of her fandom, like her Twilight fandom, and being just a pop culture nerd and loving that stuff. And she's another writer and a yoga teacher and mom. She's another /career person. So you could get details at whenigrowupcoach.com/GUG. And if you go to whenigrowupcoach.com and sign up for my newsletter, you'll get notified when this recording is available, and you'll get access to the recording. And that should happen within the next day or two. So thank you for being here. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching the recording, if you're watching the recording. Yay! Thanks, you guys, so much. And have a great day. Bye. That was amazeballs.